Hi guys, welcome back again to the channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to draft a basic bodice block together with the basic sleeve. This video is basically for beginners. So if you're interested in learning how to draft the basic bodice block together with the sleeve, please, I encourage you to watch the video to the end so you won't miss out of any important information. Alright, so with that being said, let's get started. I'll be drafting with this pattern paper and it's not on fold. After drafting the basic bodice, all you need to do is to place it on your fabric and make sure it's on fold. You just fold your fabric into two and place this pattern paper on it and then cut out the basic bodice. It's as simple as that. I'm going to mark out a starting point line here. It can be any measurement. So I'll be marking out 1 inch here and this will be the starting point. So this line also represents my shoulder line. So I'm going to take all my vertical measurements from this shoulder line. The vertical measurement are measurements from the shoulder down. From this shoulder line to the bust point, for me, is 10 inches. Then I mark. So from shoulder to the bust point is 10. From the shoulder to my waist is 18 inches, and from shoulder to the length of the blouse or the length of the top is 24 inches, which is the hip. Okay, so I have here shoulder to the bust point 10, shoulder to the waist 18, and shoulder to the hip 24, which is the length of the blouse as well. I'll take the measurements on this side so that we get a straight line. So I have 10, 18, and 24. So I'll level it now. This is my bust point line. And this is the waist, while this is the hip. Here, the shoulder measurements I'm working with 16, divided by 2 will give me 8. Then I mark. So the next measurement will be the neck width, the wideness of the neck. I'll be using standard of 3 inches, 3 inches wideness. You can decide to change it depending on the style you are making. You can decide to make it 4, 3.5, or thereabouts, depending on what you want or the style you are making. So at this 8 inches, I'll come down by 1 inch because the shoulders are not straight. That is why I'm coming down here to slope the shoulder. So instead of the shoulder line to be straight now, it's going to be slanted. So this line now will not be the shoulder line anymore. This is my new shoulder line because our shoulders are not straight. Our shoulders are slanted. Alright, from this point, the shoulder slope, I'm going to measure my armhole depth. Now, for you to get your armhole depth, please measure your round armhole and divide whatever you get by 2. So for me, my round armhole is 16. I'll divide it by 2 to get 8. 8 inches will be my armhole depth. Then I'm going to measure 8 inches here and mark. Another way you can get your armhole depth is to divide your bust circumference, the round bust measurement. You divide it by 6. Whatever you have, you add 1.5 inches to that to get your armhole depth. So I'll connect. So the next thing we are going to do now is to draft the armhole curve. And to do that, I'll simply come to the armhole depth at this point, this 8 inches, and I'll add my bust circumference measurement. Bust circumference measurement divide by 4. So for me, my bust circumference is 39 inches. Divide by 4 is going to give me 9.75, which is here. So I'm going to connect like so. So yeah. Now for the front side, for you to draw your armhole curve for the front side, you're going to take the midpoint of the armhole depth. In this case, my armhole depth is 8, divided by 2 will give me 4. So 4 is the midpoint. And on that midpoint, you are going to go inward by ½ inch and mark. So from this point, I'll take it up like this. I'll connect to this place like this, and from here I'll draw a curve to this point, which is the bust circumference. So I'll connect like this. If you don't have a curve ruler, you can make use of your free hand to do this to still give you the same result. So this is my armhole curve for the front side. So guys, the next thing we are going to do after drafting the armhole curve will be to create the darts. So why do we need to add darts in this basic bodice block? The reason for adding darts is simply to give shape to the blouse. So the dart we are adding here is basically for the bust, and for the back side, the dart for the back side is basically for the hip, to create space so that your blouse will have a good fitting. For us to add the dart now, I'm going to come to this line, these horizontal lines, and add the bust span. Bust span is simply the distance from one bust to the other, or you can call it the nipple to nipple point measurement. So on this line, I'll add my bust span. Just measure your bust span and divide by 2. My bust span is 7, divided by 2 will give me 3.5, and I'm going to add ½ inch to that, making it 4 inches. So the next thing I'll do is to come to this point. This is the bust point line, okay? So from there, I'll come down by 1 inch or 1.5 inches, depending on what you want. So the reason why I'm coming down by 1 inch or 1.5 inches is because I wouldn't want the dart line to be at the tip of the bust. So for me, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches and mark. So from this point, I'll draw a straight line across the points I've already marked. So this will be the bust span line. So having gotten this line, to create the dart now, I'll come on this line at the center of this line. I'll measure ½ inch on this side and ½ inch on this side. So our dart is basically 1 inch. 1 inch. So I'm going to connect to this point. So with these darts here now, you can make your top and it will come out very well, even without breast cut. Alright? So the next thing I'll do now is to add the horizontal measurement. So my bust circumference, that is the round bust measurement, for me is 39. Divide by 4 will give me 9.75. So it's the same thing here. Here and here is equal. So coming to the waist, I'll add my waist circumference, which is 35. 35 divided by 4. 35 divided by 4 will give me 8.75. and this 1 inch for that, I'm going to replace it here. So on the hip line, I'll add my hip circumference. My hip circumference is 43 divided by 4 will give me 10.75. Then I'll mark it here. So I'll connect the lines. Yeah, this is what I have. So the next thing I'll do now is to add the neckline. Remember, I've already added the neck width, that's the wideness of the neck, 3 inches. I'm going to add the neck depth now. That is the depth, how deep you want the neckline to be. So I'm making use of standard measurement, which is 3.5. So I have 3 inches here and 3.5 inches here. I'm going to make a round neckline here, but your basic bodice must not be in round shape. The neckline must not be round neck. So you are free to add any neck shape of your choice here. I hope you understand. So the next thing we are going to do is to create the side dart here, which is going to give our dress more beautiful shape. You can decide to stop here and you are good to go. So guys, we are going to create the side dart now. And to create the side dart, I'll simply measure from here to here, from this here, from armhole depth to this point, and whatever I have, I'll divide it by 2. So I'm going to measure now. So what I have here is 9 inches. 9 inches. 9 inches divided by 2 will give us 4.5. This is 4.5. Okay, so from this 4.5, I'm going to measure 1 inch and mark 1 inch, because 1 inch will be our dart here. So this is my dart now, 1 inch. So the center of this 1 inch is here, half. So I'll take the midpoint of the 1 inch, which is half. So I'm going to draw a line to the bust point. The dart should not be at the tip of the bust. So for that reason, I'm not going to draw the line at exactly the bust point. So I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches as well. If you want to come down by 1 inch, it's okay. So I'll come down by 1.5 inches, which is here. So I'm going to draw a line. I'll draw the dart line now. I'll first of all draw the center line like this. I'm going to connect from here to here, the half inch. So I'm going to connect like this. The next thing I'll do is to measure this line and make sure I have the same length, the same measurement on this third line. So I'll measure what I have here, and this is 5.5 inches. So I'll make sure that the third line is going to be 5.5 inches. So guys, this is 5.5 inches and it's here. I'll connect from here to here now. So this is what I have for the 3 points. So this is the dart for the side. The next thing I'll do is to connect this line like this. Okay, and I'm going to take it back to the armhole like this. So the reason why this line and this line is equal, or should be equal, is so that by the time you join it, you sew your dart, because you're going to hold it to sew. By the time you join it together, it's going to be equal, it's going to align together. I hope you understand. So guys, we are done drafting the front part of the basic bodice block, and if you want, you can stop here. Just cut it out, place it on your fabric and add your sewing allowance. But I'm going to proceed by adding our sewing allowances. Okay, so guys, I'll be adding 1 inch sewing allowances. Okay, so I'll come here and I'll add 1 inch for sewing allowance. I decided to use a different marker so that you will know the difference. So this is 1 inch and this is 1 inch. At this point, I'll add 1 inch. Take note of how I place my tape following this line. So I'll add my 1 inch like this, and I'll follow this line and add 1 inch again, and this line, follow this line and add 1 inch. So here I'll add 1 inch here. So I'm going to connect the points now. Then I'm going to add sewing allowance here, 1/2 inch for joining the shoulder as well. So the last thing we are going to do is to curve this part. But if you want hair straight, please remember this 1 inch here. You will just add 1 inch here, add 1 inch here, and connect it like this in a slant shape, so that by the time you sew this 1 inch, the whole thing will blend. Okay, so but because I want this side curve, I'm going to come here and measure 1/2 inch and connect like this. So this is basically for the front part. We are going to draft the back side now before we cut. So at this point, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, so that others can see it. And if you have any question, please leave it in the comment section. I will attend to it. So guys, we're going to draft the back side, and I've already added the vertical measurements. So this is the shoulder line, the bust point line, the waist and the hip line. So we are going to start by removing the zipper allowance. So here I'll remove 2 inches for zipper allowance. This is 2 inches. On the bust point line, I'll remove 2 inches. Then on the waistline, I'll remove 2.5 inches. And here I'll remove 2 inches. So I'm going to connect like this. The reason why I removed 2.5 inches as zipper allowance on the waist side is to eliminate the zip bulge at the back side. You know, our back side is not entirely straight. So at this point, I'm going to remove that 1/2 inch so that we'll come back to the 2 inches zip allowance. So I'll connect. You can decide to take it to the neckline or the shoulder line, but I'm going to stop the line at the bust point line. So I'm going to connect downwards like this. So the zipper allowance should not be straight because the back side is not completely straight. Having gotten the zipper allowance, we are going to add the shoulder measurement. Our shoulder measurement is 8, that's 16 divided by 2. And the neck width we are working with is 3. So come down by 1 inch shoulder slope and connect. So at the armhole depth is 8. So I'll connect. And for the armhole curve, we'll add the bust circumference, which is 9.75. That is 39 divided by 4. And yeah. So for the back side, I'm going to make my curve like this. We are not going to go inward by half an inch for the back side. So this is the curve for the back side. The next thing we are going to do is to draft the dart. Then I'm going to come to the waistline here and add the bust span, which is 4 inches, and mark. So from there, I'll connect it to the bust line and down to the hip line with a straight line, like this. I want to extend the dart by 1 inch, or I'll stop it exactly at this armhole depth line, which is also the chest line. So I'm going to extend it by 1 inch, and yeah, this is what I have. Because this is the back side, I want it to, you know, have a good fitting, and I don't want it at the bust point. So the back side looks finer when the dart is a bit longer, because there's no bust at the back side, and then this chest line is going to lap very well by the time you extend it to this point. I hope it's clear. So on the waistline, I'll take it ½ inch on both sides to remove our 1 inch dart, and I'll connect like this. Having gotten the dart, we are going to add our horizontal measurements. So my bust is 9.75, that is 39 divided by 4. Waist 35, which is 8.75, and I'll be adding this 1 inch dart. I'll replace it here, and my hip is 43, that is divided by 4 will give us 10.75. So I'll connect the points. So as for the back side, you don't need side darts, just because, like I said, there's no bust at the back side. So the neckline is going to be 1 inch. You can decide to change it, like I said before. So I'm going to draw a round neck like this, and I'll extend it to the zipper allowance. So this is it for the neck. So we are going to add sewing allowance. I'm going to come up by 1.5 inches to curve this side. Remember, the front side I measure ½ inch and curve, but the back side I'm going to measure 1.5 inches and curve. So the reason why I remove only ½ inch here at the front side is because of this 1 inch here. So by the time I sew in this 1 inch, this side is going to correspond to the 1.5 inches. So, which is the one I remove at the back side. And altogether we are going to have 1.5 inches. So I'll connect like this. I hope it's clear. So this is it for the back and front. So guys, to cut the basic sleeve, I'll place this paper on fold with the armhole depth and allowance. So I have my armhole depth is 8, so this one is going to serve as allowance. So this is how I place the paper on fold. So the length of the sleeve is going to be 8. It's actually going to be a short sleeve. So the length of the sleeve is going to be 8 inches. Then I mark. And I'm going to add 2 inches to fold the sleeve, which is 10. So everything is 10 inches. And I'm going to cut it out now. So this is what I need for the sleeve. Permit me to place it like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is to measure the armhole depth. The armhole depth I'm working with is 8 inches. Remember, 8 inches. So I'm going to measure 8 inches here. This is my 8 inches. So from there I'll go in by 4 inches. This is the cap's height. The next thing I'm going to do is to come to this point and measure 1 inch. I'll connect from this 1 inch to this place with a straight line like this. So remember what we have here should be 8 inches. Yeah, this is 8 inches. So having drawn this straight line, we are going to measure the straight line and take the midpoint. So what I have here is 8 inches. The midpoint is 4. That is 8 divided by 2 will give us 4. So this is the midpoint. Then I'm going to take the midpoint of this line again from here to here, which is 4. The midpoint of 4 is going to be 2 inches. So on that point, I'm going to measure half inch and mark. So from here, I'm going to connect to this point with a curve. The next thing we are going to do is to take the center of this line again from here to here, which is 4 inches divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 give us 2. So this is the midpoint. And here I'm going to come down by 0.25 and mark. So we're going to take this line across the 0.25 and then meet this point again. So it's going to be in a curve form. So as you can see, we have gotten our curve. So remember the length of the sleeve. The length of the sleeve is 8. So I'm going to mark, I'll draw a line at that point. This is 8 inches, which is the length of the sleeve. This one is allowance. So on that point, I'm going to measure my round sleeve. So here I'll be measuring my round sleeve. My round sleeve is 13 divided by 2 will give me 6.5. So from this point, I'll connect to this point with a straight line. So I'll be adding my sewing allowance of 1 inch. You can add any inches of your choice. So I'll extend this line like this and connect. This is our sewing allowance. So what we have here is for the back side of the sleeve. The back side of the sleeve. To cut the front side of the sleeve, I'll come to this center here and measure half inch and mark half inch. Half inch is here. And I'm going to connect from this half inch. I'll connect to meet this line like this. I decided to use a different marker so that you understand, and then I'll connect like this. So here we have the front sleeve, and then this is the back sleeve. Okay, so to cut it, I'm going to fold the sleeve like this. So I'll fold it backwards like this and cut. I'll cut the back one first. So after cutting the back, you see the reason why we fold it to cut is so that we'll not run short of material. If we cut straight, by the time you want to fold your sleeve, you'll find out that it will not meet this line to stop somewhere here, and you don't want that. That's the reason why I decided to fold before cutting. So guys, this is the sleeve now. This is the sleeve now, looking so beautiful. So at this point, I'm going to trim the front sleeve. So this side will be fixed at the front side. Let me just draw a straight line for us to know the center. So this is the center of this sleeve. So this side represents the front and this side represents the back. So what it means is that after sewing it, we are going to fix this side on the front side and fix this side at the back side. So this is the front sleeve from here, and then this is the front armhole curve. So we are going to measure to see if it's match. I'll measure it like this, measure like this, and here we have 9.25. This is what I have here. So I'm going to measure the armhole for the front side to see if it's going to fit in perfectly. So I will measure like this. I'm going to measure following the curve. Remember, I did not include the allowance. So guys, this is what we have. This is 9.25 as well. 9.25. So please go ahead and do yours and let me know your result in the comment section. So with this method, after sewing it, your sleeve is going to fit in on the armhole perfectly without any stress. If you measure the back side, you will notice that it will correspond with the back armhole. So remember, you are going to cut on fold. You are going to cut on fold. Your sleeve will look like this. All right. So guys, at this point, I'm going to cut the basic bodice out now. So guys, by the time you sew the dart, let us see, it is going to align very well. I hope you can see it. So the two lines will be equal, and then this is what we'll have after sewing it. The line is going to match up very well, as you can see, and it's going to correspond with the front, with the back side. It's going to correspond with the back side, as you can see. See, they are equal. So yeah, and by the time you sew it, you see the space. This space is for the bust, so that your clothes or your blouse is going to have a good fitting. You can make reference to this and draft any style of your choice. So this is like the basis. I hope you understand. So guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Just place your material. If you want to sew this basic this top, like I said before, put your material on fold. Just place it on top your material while on fold and just cut it out. It's as simple as that. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, for now, it is bye bye.